minute and talk about something that I use, but I don't think I give enough credit to it. And I don't think I express really how important it is to keep on hand. Hopefully you'll never need to use it, but it's relatively cheap and it can save a down kid or a kid that you're having problems with. And I didn't talk about it in my kidding kit video because I don't keep it in my kidding kit. It's not something that I use regularly, but I do have it in my goat medicine cabinet. And that is the importance of a tube. There's milk in it, I just used it. Of a syringe and a tube. And this, you know, ironically, I'm so ashamed to admit this. I was really scared to use this because I was so afraid that before I'd ever used it, I was so afraid that I was going to accidentally tube them, you know, down into their lungs. And I had a vet tell me one time that at this age, now obviously it can be easier on an adult goat because the tubes of their throat are physically bigger, but apparently, as per what the vet had told me years ago, when they're born and they're this little, it's almost impossible to tube them down. Is it called the trachea? Is that the windpipe? It's virtually impossible to tube them down the wrong tube because the tube's so small. At least that's what he had told me, that the lung pipe is so small that you would feel the resistance trying to slide the tube down the throat. And I've tubed, honestly, quite a few goats. And I should say, let me back up. The ones that I have tubed in the past, I probably didn't need to tube, but I wanted to stay ahead of whatever problem could be happening. And so that's the easiest route to make sure that they have milk in their bellies, and then we can fix, you know, whatever problem is happening in the meantime. Because not all goats are easy to get on a bottle. I only have experience with Boers, but in my experience with Boer babies, they can be very, very hard to get on a bottle. They're very stubborn. And, you know, and especially if they're with mom and they're nursing from mom, they're not going to want to take to a bottle easy, if at all. And so, you know, if early on, if they need a little bit of assistance just to get them up and going, the tube is such an easy addition. And it literally, once you get past the back of the tongue, it glides right down their throat, and you can fill. And this is a 60 mil syringe, and there are 30 mils in an ounce. So this is a 2-ounce syringe. 60 mils is a 2-ounce syringe. And yeah, it's been a lifesaver for me. Yeah, the first couple years we never used it, and when I would have a problem, I would just syringe feed. And honestly, I got really lucky because the problem with syringe feeding is there's a higher chance of them aspirating on the fluids because it may not be going down the right pipe. And so if they aspirate, it can cause pneumonia. And thankfully, there was only ever one or two that I ever did that with. While I was trying to get them on the bottle, I would syringe feed them. And that's just not the best way to do it. Again, I should have said earlier in the video, I am not a veterinarian. This is just my experience, just trying to help others who may come across this video. Even if you're only going to kit out 1 or 2 goats, this right here is a lifesaver. Literally, it has saved, like Frankenstein, if you watch the video on Frankenstein, Spotty's buck, he was one that it took a full 24 hours to even get him on a bottle. And so in the meantime, a kid can't go 24 hours without eating. And so the tube saved his life. And there were other ones where I just tube them to keep them going until they can get up and nurse with mom, even though they aren't having other problems. Frankenstein had a load of problems early on in the beginning. But yeah, so this tube, it goes easy down the throat on a newborn kid. My rule of thumb for Boers, anyway, for an 8-pound average size Boer, and you can find loads of different charts out there that help with feeding instructions if you're needing to tube feed. But my rule of thumb for a Boer is 1 ounce an hour. And then you can move it up to 2 ounces every 2 hours, and etc., and kind of spread it out. But another thing to keep on hand, you might as well, if you're going to keep this on hand, is keep like as a just in case around kidding time, a half gallon of whole milk in your fridge, and that can serve as a good replacement if you need to supplement just in the beginning or just to keep a kid full. But anyway, I will try to remember. I'm so terrible about filling out descriptions underneath these videos because I'm sure it would be helpful if I did that, and I always forget, and I just don't have time. And so I'm going to hope that I can remember to put up links to, I get my tubes and syringes off of jeffers.com, I think is the right address. I'm sure you can get them from Valley Vet. Hell, maybe even Amazon has them. Maybe even pet stores. I don't know. I'll have to look and see, and I'll put links, hopefully, in the description. I'm sure Brandon will remind me because he's been after me to actually do the descriptions, and I keep forgetting to do the descriptions. But the tube's a good thing to have on hand. It's way easier. I was afraid to do it the first time, but then once I did it, it's super easy. It's not as scary as it seems, and if it can save a baby goat's life with just getting a few extra ounces in them, then it's worth it. So don't be a chicken like me. I was a chicken in the beginning. I'm always so afraid I'm going to hurt them, but them dying is worse than me hurting them, and I didn't hurt them anyway. So anyway, I'm rambling. The tube, have a tube on hand. I can't recommend it any more highly than I am right now, because now that I've done it, it's easy, keeps kids alive, and it can get them over the hump pretty easily. So I think that's all I wanted to say. Oh, and sorry, my arm's getting tired. The other thing, so my tubes, all I do to wash them is I soak them. I just submerge the tube. I rinse the tube. I rinse the syringe. Oh, and I should probably show you, now that I think about it. Hold on, I'm going to make a mess here. It is not a typical syringe end. It doesn't have it's not like a lure lock. It's just is it called a slip end? I don't know. But I just made a mess. But what was I saying? I rinse them out first, and then I soak them in like soapy water, like Dawn dish soap and water, and I just let them soak, and then I rinse them again. I don't think you would want to rinse them in alcohol, because there's the rubber on the stopper and then the rubber hose, and I think alcohol dries out rubber. I don't know why. I feel like that's a thing. Maybe it's not, but I just use soapy water. I rinse it out between kids, or if there's a hot minute between kids, I'll rinse it. But yeah, I think that's it. I hope that's helpful. I hope I remember to put up links. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because it's such a super easy thing to do, and it can save a kid's life. And obviously you want to warm up the milk. You never want to give a baby anything cold milk. But anyway, that's all I have. So with that, we'll catch you in the next video.